Ladies and gentlemen, for the next few seconds, I want you to imagine something almost unbelievable. Your entire life can start to shift simply by changing the way you talk to yourself for just 3 days. Not your job, not your circumstances, not the people around you, just the voice inside your own mind. Because if you could hear how harshly you speak to yourself, you would never allow anyone else to treat you that way. But if you change that voice even a little, your confidence rises, your clarity sharpens, and your inner strength awakens in a way you've never experienced before. Keep listening, because the next few moments might just change the way you speak to yourself forever. Try it for 3 days, and you will taste the strength that was inside you all along, waiting for kinder words to awaken it. And as these 3 days unfold, you will notice something subtle but extraordinary. Your mind will start listening. It will begin responding to the gentleness you offer it. When you speak to yourself with kindness, you create an environment inside where confidence feels safe to grow. It is like giving your inner voice permission to breathe again after being suffocated by doubt for far too long. There is a simple truth we often forget. The world outside becomes easier to face when the world inside stops fighting us. When your thoughts cooperate instead of contradicting you, when your inner voice encourages instead of criticizes you, even the biggest challenges begin to look manageable. Not because they shrink, but because you learn to stand taller. For 3 days, watch how your energy changes when you replace "I can't" with "I will try." When you replace "I am not enough" with "I am becoming better every day." These are not empty affirmations, they are seeds, and seeds do not sprout the moment they are planted, but consistently watering them changes everything. Your inner dialogue is the water your mind has been thirsty for. Whenever you feel anxious, place your hand on your heart and speak gently to yourself. Say, "I am safe, I am doing my best." These words have the power to calm storms inside you. When you feel frustrated, pause and tell yourself, "I am allowed to take my time. I don't have to rush my growth." When you feel like giving up, whisper, "Let me take one more step, just one." Sometimes that one step becomes the turning point. People often underestimate the influence of self-talk because it is invisible. No one hears it except you. But that is exactly why it matters most, because the conversation you have with yourself determines the quality of every other conversation in your life. When you speak to yourself with respect, you naturally set a higher standard for how the world should treat you. As these 3 days continue, you may notice resistance. Old patterns may try to pull you back into negativity. When that happens, don't get discouraged. Smile softly and tell yourself, "This is just my old programming. I am rewriting it." Treat every negative thought as a reminder of how far you are trying to rise. Respond to it with patience rather than frustration. The mind learns slowly, but it learns faithfully. You will also experience moments of unexpected clarity. You might suddenly catch yourself smiling for no obvious reason. You might feel lighter while performing tasks that once drained you. You may even find yourself being kinder to others, simply because you finally learned to be kinder to yourself. Compassion that starts within naturally overflows outward. Speak to yourself like someone worth believing in. Speak to yourself as if your words carry the power to shape your future, because they do. For 3 days, give your mind the nourishment of steady, gentle, empowering thoughts. And as you do, you will feel a remarkable shift, not in who you are, but in how deeply you finally recognize your own inner strength. And not in who you are, but in how deeply you finally recognize your own inner strength. And as this recognition grows, something even more beautiful begins to awaken, a quiet sense of self-respect. Not the loud confidence that demands attention, but the peaceful kind that rests in your chest like a steady flame. This kind of strength does not shout, it guides, it does not boast, it reassures. It reminds you that you are worthy of your own patience, your own kindness, your own understanding. For 3 days, when you speak to yourself with compassion, you begin to repair the trust you lost with your own heart. Every time you choose a kinder thought, you send a message inward, I am on your side. And when your mind finally believes that message, life begins to feel less like a battle and more like a journey. Not every moment will be easy, but every moment will feel more manageable because you stop fighting yourself. During these 3 days, try a simple practice. Whenever you catch yourself engaging in negative self-talk, imagine that the words you are about to say will be spoken to someone you love deeply. Would you still say them? Would you still call them names, doubt their abilities, criticize their every effort? If not, then offer yourself the same grace. This exercise trains your mind to pause before it hurts you and to choose a more loving response. You may also find moments during these days where silence becomes your greatest teacher. Listen to the quiet between your thoughts, and you will hear what your heart has been trying to tell you for years. It might say, slow down. It might whisper, you're tired. It might softly remind you, you deserve better than the way you've been treating yourself. In that silence, clarity grows like dawn, gentle, gradual, but powerful enough to change everything. You will notice that your decisions become clearer too. When your inner voice becomes supportive, you start making choices based on hope rather than fear, self-belief rather than self-doubt. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into places that no longer honor you. You begin to trust your intuition, the quiet wisdom that has always been there but was drowned under layers of self-criticism. These 3 days can also reveal patterns you never noticed before. You may realize how often you deny yourself praise, how quickly you dismiss your own achievements, how easily you forgive others but not yourself. But instead of feeling overwhelmed by these realizations, let them inspire you. Awareness is the first doorway to transformation, and you are finally stepping through it. You might also find yourself becoming more intentional with your reactions. When you treat yourself kindly, you don't explode as quickly. You don't take things as personally. You don't cling to every negative thought. Instead, you start responding to life with a calmness that surprises even you. Because when the war inside stops, peace outside feels more accessible. For 3 days, remind yourself gently, I am allowed to grow at my own pace. Say, I don't need to be perfect to be worthy. Repeat, I am becoming someone I am proud of. Let these words sink into the soil of your mind. Let them take root, and as they grow, watch how your fears slowly lose their power over you. You may discover, too, that the kinder you are to yourself, the stronger your boundaries become. Kindness is not weakness, it is clarity. When you respect yourself inwardly, you no longer tolerate what harms you outwardly. You release what drains your energy. You distance yourself from what breaks your spirit. You walk away from what does not value your peace. Because your inner dialogue no longer tells you that you must endure everything to be worthy. And at the end of these 3 days, you will look back and realize something profound. The transformation did not come from the world changing, but from you changing the way you speak to the world inside you. You will realize that for the first time in a long time, you treated yourself as someone who deserves love, patience, and encouragement. And this simple shift, this gentle change in how you speak to yourself, opens doors to the kind of strength that doesn't fade with circumstances, but grows with every kind word you offer yourself. It opens doors to the kind of strength that doesn't fade with circumstances, but grows with every kind word you offer yourself. And as that strength grows, you begin to notice subtle shifts in the way you carry yourself. Your shoulders feel lighter, as if the burden of constant self-judgment has gently slipped away. Your breath feels deeper, as though your body finally trusts that it is safe within your own thoughts. Even your pace becomes steadier, not rushed, not hesitant, but balanced, grounded, and quietly confident. This is what happens when you stop being your own critic and start becoming your own companion. During these days, you may find moments where you instinctively revert to old patterns. Maybe a small mistake triggers that familiar criticism. Maybe a challenge makes you question your ability. When that happens, pause gently. Take a breath and remind yourself, I have changed the way I talk to myself. A single pause can break 1,000 old habits. In that pause, you choose a new path, one of patience instead of punishment, understanding instead of fear. You may also observe that your creativity begins to flow more freely. When the mind is not busy defending itself from its own harshness, it opens up like a clear sky after a long storm. You start seeing possibilities where previously you only saw obstacles. You think of solutions rather than problems. You dare to dream again because the voice inside you no longer mocks your dreams. It encourages them. This encouragement is not empty positivity. It is nourishment for the part of you that still believes in what is possible. For 3 days, every time you catch yourself feeling overwhelmed, quietly tell yourself, I can take this one moment at a time. And you will notice how even the most complicated situations begin to feel less intimidating. When the mind feels supported, it becomes far more capable than you ever realized. When you remind yourself that you are doing your best, that you are allowed to take breaks, that you are learning with each step, the path ahead becomes something you can walk with steadiness rather than fear. These gentle words you offer yourself begin to shape your emotional resilience. Slowly, you start recovering faster from disappointments. Instead of sinking into self-blame, you rise with self-awareness. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, you guide your thoughts toward what can be improved. This shift is subtle but powerful. Your setbacks no longer define you, your response to them does. You might also notice that your relationships begin to change. When you speak kindly to yourself, you don't cling to validation from others. You don't rely on constant approval to feel worthy. You show up more authentically without fear of judgment. This authenticity deepens the connections that truly matter and filters out the ones that never brought genuine peace. Because when you learn to value yourself from within, you naturally become more discerning about the energy you allow around you. As the days continue, you start realizing that kindness toward yourself is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the foundation upon which all other forms of growth stand. Without self-compassion, even your greatest achievements feel hollow. With it, even small victories feel meaningful, and this meaning fuels your motivation, your courage, and your willingness to keep moving forward. Soon, you begin waking up with a quieter mind, not silent, because thoughts will always come, but gentler, more cooperative thoughts. You start carrying yourself with a sense of inner alignment, as if your heart and mind are finally working together instead of pulling against each other. This inner harmony makes your day unfold differently. Decisions feel clearer, challenges feel smaller. You feel more in control, not of the world, but of your inner state. With every kind word you speak to yourself, you rewrite the story you once believed about your limitations. And slowly, you begin to see that the person you are becoming was always waiting beneath the layers of doubt, just hoping for a softer voice to bring them forward.